What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. 250-plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up, as always, is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. This Mother's Day, show Mom just how much you appreciate her love and support with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 36 sorbet roses for just $36. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Stephen A. That's with a PH, not a V. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts. I'll get to Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees in just a minute, because obviously with him being out, with him being on a DL, this is not good news for the New York Yankees, and we'll have to wait and see what transpires thereafter as it pertains to him. We like our man healthy. We like our man ready to go. And anytime something's wrong with him, that means something's wrong with the New York Yankees. I mean, that's the way that you have to look at it. That's the way we're going to judge things. And that's the way it goes down to. 888-SAY-ESPN. I'm getting a dial tone. Busy signal. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. First things first, NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs is where we have to go first. At least that's where I'm going to go. Bottom line is this. The NBA playoffs, as we speak right now, we've got ourselves some issues. If you are the Los Angeles Clippers, you are on the brink of elimination. Things don't look too good for you right now following your loss to the Golden State Warriors yesterday afternoon at the Staples Center in L.A., a game that I attended. When you look at the Golden State Warriors right now, and you look at the fact that Utah is up 3-0 on the Utah Jazz, we know what's imminent. We know what's coming up next. We look at it for what it is right now. When you look at the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets, it seems to be that this is going to be the series. This is what it's coming down to right here, right now. Because the Clippers are done. Clippers ain't coming back from this. Clippers ain't coming back from a 3-1 deficit. That much I can promise you. That much I can tell you. They are not coming back from a 3-1 deficit. That's not going to happen here with these Los Angeles Clippers. This season is over. This series ends next game. Because here's the reason why. If you're the Clippers, with the way the Houston Rockets are looking, you simply cannot risk. You simply, absolutely, positively cannot risk dragging this series on. You need to be ready to go. You can't have Houston chilling at home, resting and waiting for you. That would be a problem for the reigning, defending two-time champions. That's something they've got to eradicate. They've got to do it quick, fast, and in a hurry. And good luck to them pulling it off. Because I watched Kevin Durant yesterday with his 33 points. I watched Klay Thompson with his 17 points in the first quarter, 25-27 by halftime. Watching them shoot the ball the way that they did. I'm looking at Steph Curry shooting just 1 of 9 for three-point range, clearly having a struggling day. And I simply don't anticipate that this is something that's going to continue. The Utah Jazz are not the reigning defending champion Golden State Warriors. The Utah Jazz they're almost damn near allergic to scoring without Donovan Mitchell leading the way. And anytime he's struggling, it's an unmitigated disaster for them. So when I look at it from that perspective, I'm saying, excuse me, these ain't the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors are going to be able to score on this team. Now, I'm hearing from Hall of Famers, basketball aficionados, savants, telling me they think the Houston Rockets are going to take out the Golden State Warriors. They think the Houston Rockets are better than they were last year, and they think the Warriors are worse. Now, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but I'm telling you what people are saying. And so now that we know that, we have to deal with that reality. By the way, y'all, if y'all wondering, and because you're going to have my producers and people like that going crazy because they're thinking it's going to be, hey, Stephen A. getting back to little baseball, Aaron Judge is hurt. He's on a 10-day injury list. The left oblique strain. Stephen A., I mean, come on now. I mean, that's a major story. Oh, stop it. Bunch of wusses. Baseball players, it's hard for me to imagine. I mean, unless you get hurt with your swing or you get hurt with your arm or whatever. I mean, what are you doing? Standing out in the outfield, sucking on pumpkin seeds. I don't understand how these guys get hurt sometimes. If you don't get hit by a pitch, if you ain't throwing the ball, all right, and you don't get hit by a pitch, I don't understand how these guys get injured. Baseball players, I really don't. Because these guys walk around here, I mean, half the time you're standing in the outfield with shades on, chilling, getting a beautiful tan. They don't even need to go to the beach. So Judge becoming the 13th player on the IL, being injured, 10 days, 162 game schedule. Forgive me if the presses don't stop. And all of a sudden, I'm not aghast at, oh my God, what's happening to him? He's gone for 10 days. Oh, please. I don't give a damn if he's gone for 3 weeks. He'll be all right. As long as he's all right. In June, July, August, and September, we're good. I'm not worried about the Yankees come April and May. I'm just not. So let me just get that out of the way right now. Back to basketball, let me say this. Boy, do I wish Houston and Golden State were going to be meeting in the conference finals instead of this early. I really do. And I'm sorry to if I'm being disrespectful to LA fans and, you know, talking about the Los Angeles Clippers in the past tense, but damn it, Klay Thompson did, so why shouldn't I? Our next opponent, I mean, they got one game to win, and he's on national television with Lisa Salters talking about our next opponent. That's what he said. So I'm looking at Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors, and I'm like, they're clearly looking past the Clippers. Why the hell shouldn't I? And then you got the Houston Rockets with James Harden missing his first 15 shots, but coming on late and still managing as a team to up in Utah. It's undeniable that the collision course is coming. It's imminent. And it's going to be the Rockets versus Golden State. And I want to know early on who y'all got winning this next series. Because I was shocked to be in L.A. yesterday speaking to the abundance of people I was speaking to. And to hear these folks tell me Houston Rockets going to take out the Golden State Warriors. I don't believe that. I can tell you right now the Warriors don't believe it. But I can also tell you that there are a bunch of aficionados who believe that that's exactly what's going to happen. Can't wait to talk to my man Mark Jackson, former head coach for the Golden State Warriors, obviously basketball analyst extraordinaire for ABC and ESPN. He'll be on live with us in hour number 2. Looking forward to talking to him about some of these basketball matchups. A couple of stories aside before I get to this Kate Smith situation and the statue in Philadelphia being covered because of the woman famous for singing God Bless America. Also made several other songs that were considered relatively racist. But I'll get into all of that in just a minute. First thing I want to do is go to a couple of things. Number one, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, entertaining series. Didn't expect Philadelphia to be up 3-1. Thought it would be 2-2. But props to the Philadelphia 76ers for finding a way to do it. Tobias Harris showed up big time in Game 2 when Joel Embiid out. Joel Embiid comes back. Game 4, they're averaging 25 and 13. Tobias Harris had a solid game. J.J. Redick had a solid game. Ben Simmons. All of these boys are playing. Give them credit where credit is due. Sean Marks going into the locker room after the game. The GM for the Brooklyn Nets, ultimately being fined and suspended 1 game. There are a lot of people, including myself, that were saying, "All right, you know what? If he thought that the call was wrong or whatever, what's the big deal?" But again, I do ask this question: if Steve Mills or Scott Perry for the New York Knicks were fined and suspended for storming into the locker room to confront referees after a game, what would the headlines have been? It's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question. And according to one of my sources in the league office, they said 2 things. Number one, no one can ever go into the referee's locker room post-game or you have anarchy. Whether a person is right or not, you cannot do that. But they also said Sean didn't go into the locker room, Sean Marks, GM for the Brooklyn Nets, said Sean Marks didn't come in to complain about the call. He came in to argue that Joel Embiid, should have received a flagrant foul too on Saturday, and that he should have been ejected from the game. That's what he was complaining about. So again, Sean Marks will have to serve his suspension and what have you. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. It was just a shove on the part of Dudley, and then you had Jimmy Butler shoving Dudley because Dudley shoved Embiid in the back. Me personally, I didn't think that Jimmy Butler deserved to be suspended. That was my personal opinion. That's how I felt about it. But now that we got that out the way, bottom line is this: Sixers about to close out this series. And the way Kawhi Leonard and Toronto is looking right now, that's a collision course as well. We've got some epic playoff encounters in the next round. The next round, you're going to likely have Philadelphia, Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee, Warriors, Rockets. And then obviously, you got the Blazers, who are about to beat Oklahoma City. They're going to be going up against Denver or San Antonio, who's tied 2-2. Here's the deal. Transitioning to Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook made news, like he always does. Russell Westbrook made news because Russell Westbrook is getting outplayed. Russell Westbrook finished with 14 points yesterday. Russell Westbrook, the great, ultra-talented, supremely athletic, walking triple-double that is Russell Westbrook, averaging triple-double over the last 3 years. That Russell Westbrook, ladies and gentlemen, he shot 0 for 7 from the field in the second half, scored 1 point in the entire second half in Oklahoma City's loss to the Portland Trail Blazers. He has been getting thoroughly outplayed by Damian Lillard. Period. Damian Lillard showing up to make amends for what happened to him last year against the New Orleans Pelicans with Drew Holiday and others guarding him. Damian Lillard has been putting on a show. He has shown up, and C.J. McCollum has shown up with him. And as a result, he is thoroughly outplaying Russell Westbrook, to be quite honest with you, proving to be a better basketball player. Russell Westbrook's a better athlete. But if we watch Damian Lillard and the way that he's been performing, he's literally on a mission to prove he deserves to be first-team All-NBA, because I certainly don't think he's better than Steph Curry, but he deserves to be first-team All-NBA this year. And right now, he's showing to be a better basketball player than Russell because he's leading his team. And one would argue that's not Russell Westbrook is doing. Now, that's on the court stuff. Off the court, Russell Westbrook apparently has this beef with this reporter, Barry Trammell, for the local newspaper there in Oklahoma City. And my position is clear. And John and Kat and you guys, if you could get that sound from Steve Kerr, I would love for the audience to hear what he had to say. But here's the deal. When you talk about Russell Westbrook and him communicating with the media or a particular individual in the media, and no matter what question is asked of him, all basketball related, his response is no comment. Before you hear my response to all of that, listen to Steve Kerr speak on this matter. Do we hear Steve Kerr? Because I don't hear him. Okay. I guess we don't have the sound. They told me we had the sound on Steve Kerr. Evidently, we don't. My apologies to my listeners. But to paraphrase, Steve Kerr essentially is saying it's a dangerous precedent to set. God's got great relationship with the fans. The media plays a role in helping to promote the sport. And it provides a personal touch. And when you alienate folks like that, you never know how that can be received. I'm going to take it a step further and tell you why I got a problem with Russell Westbrook on this front. Number one, it's basketball questions. There is nothing wrong with somebody asking you basketball questions. Your job is not just to play. It's contractually obligation. It's a contractual obligation for you to answer questions. They're strictly basketball, has nothing to do with your personal life or anything like that. Basketball questions are not beyond the pale. And one of the things that I've repeatedly said to numerous athletes over the years, would you like reporters to ask you about something else other than the sport you're playing? You want them to ask you about your personal life? You want them to investigate that? You want them to talk about that rather than the game? Is that what you want? Why would you invite that kind of scrutiny? Now, I wouldn't do it. Most reporters wouldn't do it, but you just never know what somebody else might do. It's basketball. Basketball questions, ladies and gentlemen, are not off limits for basketball players. Football questions are not off limits for football players. And it's amazing to me how, as the money has proliferated in these sports, so has the sensitivity to everything, as well as the disrespect towards those asking questions. When folks needed the media and they needed the public to patronize their product and support their brand so you can help the sport grow and ultimately the money could be made, folks weren't acting like this then. So why do it now? And then in the case of Russell Westbrook, you just had that incident in Utah where everybody came to Russell Westbrook's defense because we assumed that the person that offended him had said something highly offensive. And because they had said something highly offensive, and Russell Westbrook stood in front of the cameras and the tape recorders and articulated what was said to him and how that person addressed him, we took Russell Westbrook's word because that individual denied it, if y'all remember correctly. He denied it. Now, I didn't believe him because I thought his story sounded completely bogus, and I totally sided with Russell Westbrook. But he did have a different version. And Russell Westbrook was given the benefit of the doubt. What if the day came where Russell Westbrook wasn't given the benefit of the doubt? What would happen then? And then we get back to basketball and we say, okay, if you lose this series, that'll be 3 consecutive years since Kevin Durant left that you've been gone in the first round. And oh, by the way, off the court again, you got Paul George, ladies and gentlemen, one of the nicest human beings you could ever meet in your life. Class personified in every sense of the word. Class. That's Paul George. He telling reporters, next question. It's not good. It's not a good look. Now let me get to the real issue that I wanted to discuss. Because there's this story that's been circulating all weekend involving a person who is now deceased. Her name is Kate Smith, famous for singing the song God Bless America. Philadelphia Flyers felt she was their good luck charm, even had her. She sang the anthem. She sang God Bless America rendition at Philadelphia Flyers games on several occasions over the years, including the 1974 Stanley Cup. Her rendition of God Bless America was incredibly famous to the point where New York Yankees played it after some of their wins. The Flyers obviously played it. They had a statue of her hanging outside. Okay, she was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by former President Ronald Reagan. All of these things are so. But she had a few songs that she recorded as far back as the 1930s where she said what some would deem to be offensive and racist remarks or lyrics in her songs. And as a result, the Philadelphia Flyers put a black drape over her statue, and I guess they're contemplating removing it for all we know. They stopped playing the rendition at their games. They did remove it. I apologize. They did remove it. They removed the statue. They're obviously not playing her rendition of God Bless America at their games. The New York Yankees stopped doing the same. And some people are in an uproar. Others are supportive of that decision. I'm a person that's in support of her statue being removed. I'm a person that's in support of the rendition no longer being played. First of all, there's plenty of people that sing God Bless America and can do it in very, very skillful and entertaining fashion, and that's fine, number one. Number two, things must be contextualized. I understand that. And we do have to understand the fact that this was at a different time. This was pre-civil rights movement, pre-civil rights legislation. All of these things are true. 1920s, 1930s were definitely a different time, no doubt. But we are in a modern era. And once people are cognizant of her lyrics from her songs, the fact that you have a statue outside deifying her to some degree, at least at the time until the last 24 hours or so, the fact that you had that going on, when you think about her rendition of God Bless America, because you know who she is now and you know what lyrics came associated with some of her music, you're automatically going to think about those things if you're a member of the offended community. And so as a result, you're going to wonder why the Flyers, the National Hockey League, the Yankees of Major League Baseball, or anybody else would be receptive to deifying her in any manner imaginable, meaning in the form of a statue or playing her rendition of God Bless America. But my man Will Kane, who hosts his own radio show nationally on ESPN Radio every weekday afternoon for, I believe it's from like 3 to 6 p.m. on ESPN Radio. He was on First Take this morning, and he took a very interesting position. And I think that to some people, they might find it offensive. I'm here to tell you right now, even though I disagree with him, there was nothing offensive about what he asked. I thought it was a very legitimate question. And I think that if you're going to take certain positions, you have an obligation in the interest of fairness to answer those questions accordingly. And what he was asking the question is, what is the standard? What are we going by? If you're going to do this with her, just because there are people who are offended by it when it dates back more than 70 years. What's next? That was his position. That was part of his question. I'll leave it to him because I have no doubt that he'll touch on it later on his radio show. A matter of fact, if I can get sound from what he was asking on First Take earlier, I'll play that for you. But in the end, that's basically what he was asking. I have a very interesting answer about that. And it involves a little bit of history. So stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'll get back to that very, very talk in a minute. That was Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage in America's largest and most dependable 4G